We're talking about liberation theology and the different uses of it, okay? There are also uses that are not theological. They are just philosophy. Aspects of liberation theology explains how predominantly white members of the Weather Underground, like William Ayers and Jeff Jones, who are still in this system now, they were also into black liberation philosophy. Why? Because it's about the oppressed and the oppressor. Remember, these are people who, besides blowing stuff up, were also having a sexual revolution, trying to smash monogamy. This isn't about God to them in any shape or form. But the goals are the same. The members of the Weather Underground remember the oppressed and the oppressor. Watch.
Power belongs to the young people and the black people in this country. We gotta build a strong base, and someday we gotta knock those to control this thing right on their.
White youth must choose sides now. We must either fight on the side of the oppressed or be on the side of the oppressor.
If you sit in your house and live your white life and go to your white job and allow the country that you live in to murder people and to commit genocide, and you sit there and you don't do anything about it, that's violence.
Okay, so they excuse it because this country has committed genocide or violence against the oppressed, so you can use any means to stop us. Okay, this is how they and the Black Panthers and others who follow this line of thinking can eventually find themselves rationalizing the killing of babies, because they've convinced themselves that you are either a victim or you are the oppressor. And there is no different. There's no in between here. You must take a stand. You're a victim or oppressor. And that's exactly how you get crazies like this one that we showed you a couple of days ago.
We kill the men, we kill the women, we kill the children, we kill the babies, we kill the blind, we kill the cripple, we kill the crazy, we kill the we kill the lesbians. I said, damn it, we kill them all. He said, well, why kill them all? Why kill the women? First, why kill the babies? They're just little innocent blue-eyed babies. Because, damn it, they're going to grow up one day to rule your babies. Kill them now. Why kill the women in South Africa? I said, kill the women because the women are the military manufacturing center.
This is the previous head of the Black Panthers. I want to make sure we put this in perspective. Most African Americans, I mean, this guy's Hitler. This guy's Hitler. Most African Americans don't believe that. They don't believe the hate the Black Panthers are spewing. This is evil. The Black Panthers and anyone who subscribes to liberation theology are perverting the message of Christianity, and it goes straight to evil. It is the same way radical Islamicists pervert the message of Islam. But in this instance, they are perverting an already perverted message. The message of social justice and redemption through redistribution and collective redemption. There's no such thing as that. And this is why it's critical that you understand this. Because Jeremiah Wright is a liberation theology preacher. He studies and knows Cone, William Ayers, liberation theology. All of these people, I shouldn't say all, a lot of the people around the president have grown up in the 60s with either the mix of the liberation theology or the liberation philosophy. I got news for you. There is a huge difference between collective salvation and individual salvation. Individual salvation, you can be free and we can disagree with each other. Collective salvation, well, then the policies of the government, oh, they start to become very, very bad, because if you stand against the policies of the government and you are the oppressed that is in charge of the government, well, you can excuse all kinds of things. As I said in the beginning of this program, there are those in this country right now that must divide us for power. They're going to try to make this episode of this program about race. I ask you to watch the show in context. This has nothing to do with race. African Americans, it has nothing to do with African Americans. There are white people saying the same thing. It has everything to do with power. When I said this guy is, it said on the bottom in this clip, America's Black Hitler. It doesn't matter. He's saying the same thing. Hitler was white. He's saying the same stuff. He's black. What does race have to play a role in? In time, it is played over and over and over again because it is a formula. The same outcome, a different group of people, but the formula creates the same mess. And it explains what you're beginning to see in America today. It is a formula that I will expose next. All right, America, this is the weirdest show ever. I thank you so much for watching. This is one that you should have DVR'd, because if you're joining us now, it's going to be a little weird to latch on. But we're talking about liberation theology and philosophy, and it's critical that you understand this. This is just the beginning of some things that we're laying out, but this is pretty intense stuff. If somebody wants to obtain power, they've used this formula. Usually insidious people have used this formula to gain power. And here's how it works. The first thing you do is identify something you want to control. America. Okay? Then you look to Marx. These two might be flipped. Maybe you look to Marx and then something you want to control. Then you look for victims. Now the victims have to be a group big enough to gain power. So you usually have to cobble a bunch of people together. Then you use, infiltrate, or corrupt the most powerful institution at your disposal. Got it? Now, this is a book from Anthony Bradley. And Anthony is one of the leading experts on liberation black theology. And we have been working with him all day on this to make sure that we get it right. Anthony, I want you to help me on this, if you will. First of all, do I have the basic formula here right?
Right. You actually articulated it very well.
Okay.
To actually start with these issues and then use Marxism as a way to interpret what to do.
Okay. So let's just go through a few of these just to show the liberation formula working. In America, with the progressive movement of the under Wilson, the victim was the white worker. Right? They were going to be the oppressed. They were oppressed by, the Chinese in the 1800s, the black worker. This is where unions started. Look for the union label, but it was the union label said made by white workers. So they used the white workers. That was their victim. They knew that they've just held the white people. They could gain power, use, infiltrate, or corrupt the most powerful institution at your disposal. They used the churches. They used the unions. Can you think of anything else they used? They used politics. Okay. These were the people already in power.
Glenn, if I can add, they also used the public education system. I mean, that was also a means of re-articulating this understanding of who the oppressor is and who the oppressed are.
If you look at 1960s America, they did the same thing, but the white worker was no longer the oppressed. Now it became the Vietnamese. It became blacks. Who else? I know now we have Hispanics down here, but they needed to cobble together. The Marxists. The Chinese, I know they used the Chinese because they were talking about anybody who had been exploited by the capitalist system. Latin America, why don't you explain Latin America? Because Latin America in the 80s and 90s, the church actually was the thing that they used to be able to have this really take off. This is probably the most successful of liberation theology, correct?
Yeah, one of the odd infiltrations of Marxist thought and theology happened in Central and South America, right in the church, and it was really the fantastic work of the current Pope, who actually rooted out liberation theology from that region, and that's something that we talk about at the Acton Institute all the time. That's a very good resource for that.
Okay.